right, so we're going to take a look at classwork number 8. This is page 4, and it's called Ripening Mangoes. And as you read this one, you're going to notice that there is not a sample size here. And so when that happens, feel free to assign a sample size. So in this case, I kind of know how many treatments we're going to do, so I know 180 is going to make a good number, but there are other, you could do 90 or 270 or something like that would also work just fine. So I would like you to go ahead and pause the video and see if you can try this one on your own. So it's going to have 2 factors in it. So you're going to do that tree diagram to get all of those treatments figured out amongst the levels. So give it a pause and a whirl, and I will see you back here in a few seconds to talk about it. Okay, so hopefully you gave that a try. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So I decided on 180 mangoes here. And then my factors and levels. So it looks like the fruit was harvested at either 80, 95, or 110 days. After the fruit set on, so after it went from flower to fruit. So let's do number of days as our factor name. And it either 80, 95, or 110 days. And then it was stored at temperatures of either 20, 30, or 40. So I have 20, 30, or 40 degrees centigrade. So we'll call that storage temp. Okay, so I have 3 levels here and 3 levels here. So I actually know exactly how many treatments I need. I'm going to need 3 times 3, which gives me 9. So we know we have 9 treatments. And then our response variable is here, the time to ripening. That's what they measured. Okay, and their goal with this is that it sounds like 30% of the fruit is wasted in this process of picking, transporting, storing it, and so on. So they're hoping to minimize that by doing this experiment. All right, so let's get to work diagramming this. I think maybe I'll do a little tree off to the side here quick to make sure I know what I'm doing for my treatments. So I have 80, 95, and 110. And each one of those either gets a 20, a 30, or a 40 for the temperature. Okay, and so there I think we can see our 9 treatments there. Let's put some little degree symbols on those. All right, so our diagram starts with our subjects. So I have 180 mangoes. We're going to split this into 9 groups. So remember, we don't have an organizational component on this one. So our next thing is to look at these groups and determine if they're randomly assigned. So each group, I'll take my 180 and divide that by 9. So I get 20 mangoes in each group. So bear with me, it's quite a bit of writing here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have to sneak one in here. So if you get a lot of factors and a lot of levels going, this can get really crazy really quick in terms of trying to draw this diagram out. Okay, so I've got all of these in here. It does say that it's a random sample, so I put an RA in here, stick that in wherever I can fit. And the next step is to list out my treatments. So if I look at this diagram over here, it looks like I have 80 days and 20 degrees. So 80 days, 20 degrees. And the next one is 80 with 30 degrees. And then 80 with 40 degrees. Okay, and then after that it's going to be 95 days with the 25 degrees, or 20 degrees. So I have 95 days for the next 3. they are 20 degrees, 30 degrees, and 40 degrees. And then the last three are going to be this 110 days. And 110 days, and then they'll be either 20 degrees, 30 degrees, or 40 degrees. Okay, so that takes care of our treatments, and then that just leaves our response variable. So I'm going to bring all of these back together. Okay, and then our response variable was the time to ripening. All right, so that gives us our diagram here. And then there's a question at the bottom. It says, for simplicity, the experimenter thought about selecting 9 mango trees and then randomly assigning each tree to each of the 9 treatments. All the mangoes on a tree would receive the same treatment. Do you think this would be a good way to assign the mangoes to the treatments? All right, so some thoughts on that. The trees could be genetically different, and that wouldn't be necessarily knowable by looking at it. So there might be some sort of genetic difference in these mango trees that I wouldn't want to do that. I also could be concerned about the location. So growing up, my dad planted an orange tree, and this thing would not grow. My dad really wanted to grow oranges, and he went out and he babied that tree. He would make us go out at night and cover this thing in tarps, and he'd put a heat lamp on it. I mean, he was very invested in getting oranges, and it just would not grow at all. And so he finally got frustrated, and he pulled it out of the ground, and he tossed it in to the compost pile. And that silly orange tree rooted itself in the ground, stood itself up, and proceeded to grow into this giant orange bush. Gave us lots of oranges. And my dad later went back and looked at the ground, and we had built our house when I was in 4th grade. It was kind of cool, you know, little house on the prairie style. It started raining, so we got to skip school to put the roof on and things like that. But we actually looked at the ground. This is a piece of farmland, and what it looked like was maybe a tractor or something had broken down, and somebody had poured the oil into the dirt. And so that was why that tree wouldn't grow there. So perhaps there's something different about the ground where those trees are planted, that, you know, one tree might be in such a situation, another tree is not. So that could introduce some sort of confounding variable. Then you also have, I think, another issue. So we're defining this pink date as the transition from flower to fruit. And that's going to vary on the tree. If you couldn't tell, my dad really liked fruit trees, and so we had a lot of fruit trees growing up. And that was always my job after school to go water them. And the fruit doesn't all come in at the same time. It comes in fairly close, but it's not uniform. And so if they are really serious about picking it at the time that it's gone from flower to fruit, that's going to vary across the tree. And so you're going to end up kind of messing with some of these factors and levels if you just assign it by tree. So there's definitely some issues there, and I wouldn't suggest that. I think that's going to be a bad idea.